What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And you'll see behind me, we have an engine and a transmission finally bolted together. My clutch showed up today, so I was finally able to bolt the trans to the engine, new slave, basically mimicking exactly what we just did to the black car, which you guys saw in the previous videos. So technically, this engine is ready to now go into this engine bay. This bay has been ready for an engine for quite some time. So what I'm gonna do now is basically get everything around the front here over to that side of the garage. 3000, I'm sorry, you might have to sleep outside tonight, but everything's gonna get moved over to this side of the garage. So I have plenty of room to come in and swing this thing around and try and get it lined up in the engine bay. Now, what I'm gonna try and do is I'll be able to jack it up enough to clear the subframe, but I'm hoping, because I have no exhaust manifolds or anything like that, I'm hoping that I'll be able to kind of bring this thing in and sit it right down on top of those engine plates and bolt her right up. All right, so I bring you guys a quick update. I've been working hard to get the engine into the engine bay of the cts-v. I am so hyped to see this thing in here right now. It is a really good feeling. So I got the weight off of here. I got the engine mounts bolted in, the creative steel race mounts. Now what I'm gonna do is jack the trans up, get the trans mount on, and then we're secure. And then from there, I'm gonna put the intake manifold on and then take the wiring harness from the table over there, lay it out, and I gotta put the starter on as well, but start to drape the wiring harness out to figure out placement for everything. And then I guess the next step after that will be tightening in those spark plugs, even though they're not gonna be the ones I'm running. They were the ones that were in the car. I'm just gonna run them for now. And then before I take the car to get tuned, I'll put the freshies in, the TR6s. And then the headers have to go in. Might have to clearance it for the steering shaft over there and hook up the fuel lines, and we're getting close. We're getting very close. And boy, does it feel good to be this close. I was gonna do a whole time lapse of us trying to wedge it in. Morgan and I were doing it, and there's a lot of in and out and this and that, but we were able to do the whole thing relatively easy. I feel like now we got a good idea. It was just a matter of getting the bottom of the oil pan to clear the subframe. But doing this mod that I did to the front cross member here, and like not having to worry about the front rad support being in the way to just come down with it, made life so much easier, and I'm really happy that I did that. And that was the reason I did it. One, it's going to buy me some more space in the front of the engine because I moved the radiator forward, but two, it was for the convenience factor when it comes to working on anything under the hood here. I mean, if I have to replace an alternator, pull the rad out real quick, and I have so much room to do it. So let me get back to work here. I'm going to try and get this trans mount in, and then we'll start on the top end. All right, guys, so I'm ready to put my valley cover back on. So we'll get this thing back into position. Fresh gasket, just like the rest of the engine. And our hardware here. It is now time for the intake manifold to go on. I think. Nope, not yet. Whoopsies. I almost forgot the knock sensor harness again. Really gotta stop forgetting these guys. I don't know how these release when I want to take them off. Oh, like that. Interesting. Okay. There's one, there's two. Pop our seals in. And we got our wire that's going to come around and clip onto the intake manifold, I believe. So we'll just keep that guy right there. And wow, I was going to put the intake manifold on with all the ports taped. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay, now it's time for the intake manifold. That's it. Let's see what we got. So we got the fuel lines here. We'll hook them up last. Let me get this thing bolted in. So I have the intake manifold all bolted down. Those old spark plugs are tightened up in there, and fuel lines are hooked up. Now I think the next move, I also got the clutch line hooked up. It's kind of out of the way. Once the headers are in, I'll make sure this gets tucked. I might route it over top of this wire harness right here, just to get it more out of the way. But again, not having this rad support here compared to me having to like reach back here and stuff on the black car last week, you know, it's so nice that I can just lean over and I'm here. So obviously no cooling system stuff is hooked up right now. No belts are on right now because I still need to purchase a new power steering pump. This is the dead pump that was on the Black V. I robbed the pump that was on this car for that car, but this is the dead pump that I used just for mock-up because I had to remake this line right here, and I think we're good. I have all the vacuum stuff is also, you know, just open right now, but one thing at a time here. Gonna move on to, I guess, the harness, wiring harness. I'm gonna hook this ground up to the head, the cylinder head, and then I'll bring the harness over here, drape it onto the engine, and I guess start plugging stuff in. So it's the next day, and I'm gonna call the stopping point here before we jump to the next video. We have this thing completely wired. We have just the intake elbow here with the MAF sensor. I just have this filter hanging here because I'm trying to figure out how long of an air filter I want. This intake elbow does clear the hood and all that. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I ran a wire from the starter to this distribution block right here. It'll be configured similarly, but obviously not like the battery cable coming through here. But that distribution block will be used, probably mounted right here when I incorporate a battery cutoff switch, because ultimately I'm gonna have a positive cable go from the battery to the cutoff switch, and then from the cutoff switch into the distribution block where you will have the starter, the alternator, and the fuse block wire, so this wire right here, and then this wire right here that goes into the little relay panel inside the car. So that'll be those 4 ports. It'll be mounted right there and keep it nice and tucked away. ECU, I also haven't decided if I'm gonna mount it up here in the engine bay or if I'm gonna put it in the factory location down in this box. It's kind of vulnerable there if I get in any kind of front end collision or anything of the sorts. It is in a vulnerable location. It will be protected by the bash bar, but I just haven't really decided if I want to keep it outside the engine bay or put it inside the engine bay. I don't think heat will be an issue, but yeah, I don't know, we'll see. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I know this is a shorter video, I think, but we are getting very close, and in the next one, we will hopefully try to start the car. My oil cooler should be delivered today, and that's the last piece I needed to finish putting everything together. The oil cooler goes on, the driver's side header goes on, and then just throw the coil packs and the spark plug wires in on that side, and I think we're good to go. Fill it with oil too. Can't forget, that's an important part. I got the oil jugs laying out here just so I don't forget it. So thank you for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the next one. Subscribe, drop a comment, and I'll see you soon.